We got a lot of great stories to go through. Tom had to plug in the Rhode Island thing real quick, but we got a lot of stories to go through for all of you diehard Ronaldo fans who are celebrating this weekend to have watched Messi lose. I think Ronaldo fans were the biggest Spain fans yesterday. Diehard. They were like, yes! You know how I know that? Guess who I took to the game with me yesterday? My son. Guess what jersey the guy decided to wear? Ronaldo's jersey. Can you imagine? We're in a place where the guys that are with us in the suite, some friend of ours, Will Ferrell's on this side. Tom Cruise is out there taking pictures, talking to you and to Dylan. Somehow Tom Cruise comes and gives a speech to open up the World Cup, which was kind of interesting. But guys, before we get started, Humberto, run a poll real quick. Folks, which one do you prefer? These black glasses, okay, until I get my eyes done, these, or do you prefer the clear? I don't know if we should say white or black because that could be a racist poll to run.
Don't get canceled on your own podcast.
Yeah. So why don't you do black and clear? And Adam, on today's podcast, I'm requesting you to not to do a lot of jump-ins because your audio isn't that well. Only when I come to you jump in because the audio needs a little bit of work.
This will be a good poll. And if you're with Warby Parker, DM Tom with any recommendations.
So let me go through the stories on what we got. A few things. Trump gave a speech last week that we haven't gotten into yet, but Trump gave a speech last week that CNN refused to play. And they said, well, because he's made a lot of claims and they refused to play. And the Trump made some claims about China being involved in elections and different things that we're going to get into. But the part I want you to think about that no one's thinking about. Remember when they said, oh, you can get your Facebook account back, your Instagram back, your YouTube account back, everything you can get back. And now they're no longer going to be doing any censorship. No. They just revealed that card's going to be used. And they can't say equal time because they don't give equal time. And they can't say it was close to midterms and we did the same things with Biden. No, because CNN played Biden's entire speech. So we're going to get into some of that stuff to talk about. Bill Maher said he's done with Democrats. He says there's no way I can support something like this. Bill Maher is actually saying he's open to the idea of potentially voting for J.D. Vance. A Bill Maher voting for J.D. Vance. Olive Garden. I don't know if you guys have been to Olive Garden lately or not. Olive Garden is officially for voter ID. Olive Garden came out and said they believe in voter ID in the craziest way possible. 30 years ago when I was 17 years old, we'd go to Olive Garden. I would tell my friends we went to a rich man's restaurant. We would order those, those breadsticks that it's unlimited breadsticks. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It was great.
And salad.
Yeah, and salad. It was phenomenal. But Olive Garden got it right. We'll talk about what we're talking about. Of course, we got to address World Cup. Spain got paid $50 million for winning the whole thing, but they got to pay, my opinion, that score. I'm going to give you the craziest stat on the World Cup that no one's talking about, that this man here introduced me to the stat. And then we went a little bit deeper this morning to find out the numbers. It's crazy when we share this number with you on the World Cup. It's a topic that literally no one is talking about. We'll cover it here with you in a minute. We had a chance to watch Odyssey this weekend. Tom took a nap, but it was a good movie when we watched the Odyssey.
Totally good.
Tom caught up on some of it. He's like, listen, I've read the book 50 times. I can teach the class on the Odyssey. I don't need to watch a movie to know what the Odyssey was about. $375 million budget, which includes marketing. Opening weekend, $264 million. Breaking Christopher Nolan's previous record of
$249 for Dark Knight Rises.
Exactly. So I don't know if you've seen it or not. We did. I'm going to give you my thoughts. Vinny's going to give us thoughts. Tate's. They're having a fight they're promoting, I think, 2 days ago while they're going out there to promote the fight, which, by the way, Tate's clothes choice that day, Andrew, I would tell you could choose a little bit different color, but he's got a very good taste on clothes. But obviously they're going through it. UK comes from out there. Florida, we know DeSantis are not supportive of Tate's. Puthmeyer was involved in this. It's very interesting to see what's going to happen. They're probably going to be in for about 2 weeks to 60 days. It could turn into a 6-month situation. Anyways, we'll get into that story. It's 32
it has nothing
counts,
to do with U.S.
No, it has nothing to do with U.S. But, Tom, partly it does. Partly it does because it's with the help of U.S. that they've been able to do what they're trying to do. So we'll get into that.
Right, but this particular arrest was coming from somebody else.
You're right. It's coming from UK. Transgender Maine Senate candidate. Folks, new rock star. Katie Porter, step out of the way. A new rock star is here, stealing the flipping show.
Yeah.
Talking some common sense.
Yes.
I write my own books, he said.
Look at this guy.
Says, I write songs, and all I'm trying to do as a transgender is use the restroom and not be bothered. I'm not going to hurt anybody. That's this guy's campaign speech.
Shout out Ashley.
And some people are saying this guy is apparently, what do you call
Graham
it? Plattner that kind of like evolved.
Shout out Democratic
Party. That video that Plattner evolves into Ashley Webb. Look into it and send it to him. And then we got Japan enacts law to punish national flag vandals. Opponents say it's a threat to freedom of speech. Actually, love that thing. John Fetterman comes out warning Democrat Party, stay loyal to Israel or he'll leave. And there was one story I liked, which is MLS's newest billionaire owner thinks investors can do better than buying a sports team. When he breaks down the numbers, it's actually shocking that you may do better in the S&P 500 than owning a sports team. And that's me. I read the story. I said, I think that's a pretty good story for us to get into it. So with that being said, gang, while you're watching this, a couple things I want you to be thinking about is for some of you guys that realize success in life, you're one contact away from changing your life. We do this intentionally every year. People ask us and say, hey, we'd love to come to the campus, get a tour in the entire new headquarters, 11 acres on the airport. Allegedly, this was a former CIA DOD property that Oliver North did the Iran Contra at this airport that you guys now own. Yes. Wait a minute. Is that real? Yes. We're doing the annual networking event at our office, June 29th, 6 to 8 p.m. Those who have CEO tickets, I'm going to give you a tour of the entire place. Founder tickets, Tom, I'll give you a tour of the entire place. A lot of new upgrades have happened since the last time you guys were here. Executives will get a tour from our staff, and then platinums and generals, you'll get a chance to do networking. And then I think a few people who buy the CEOs and founders will go to the cigar lounge afterwards for a networking event at our lounge. Whether you're a member or not, it's going to be a great experience, and some of you guys can choose to become members afterwards. But you got to go buy your tickets. This is what it looked like last year. There's going to be a lot of surprises this year. Go ahead and play the clip. There you have it. Vault 2026. If you haven't yet bought your tickets, go to Vault 2026. Get your tickets. And those of you guys that have, you can register with a link that we have out there. I don't know if we have the link there or not. If we're not showing it, we'll put it in the description and the comment section. Go to it. But if you haven't yet purchased your tickets, go to vault2026.com and get registered. Logan Paul will be there. Stephen Bartlett from Diary of CEO, Dan Martell, Jerry Rice, Joe Montana. And we're going to have a good time together at the Vault Conference this year. With that being said, let's get right into it. First story. Do we want to just get into the World Cup and get that knocked out of the way? Let's get into the World Cup and get that knocked out of the way. Spain won 1-0. Honestly, they should have won 5-0. 15 shots, 2-0. Spain's going to get paid $50 million. I think Lamine Yamal shook hands with Trump at the end when they won. There was a moment where they're like, oh, he's blowing him off. No, they shook hands. It was just couldn't see it. Trump put a medal over Messi's head when they lost. Messi was in tears. The head coach was in tears. Couldn't believe that this took place. The greatest red card in this entire World Cup goes to Enzo. We're up there watching the match, and we're seeing this guy going after the player. And all you see is Enzo doing the flip. You know what it reminded me of, Vinny? It reminded me of that 80-year-old man that flipped over the bicycle, because I know that picture was going viral. I'm like, this is horrible. I think he beat the 80-year-old with the flip that he got. And he gave a yellow card, and he already had a yellow card, so it ended up being a red card.
Remember, the bison was a yellow stone card.
That's right. Yes. That's a different card that you're talking about. Good one for that. But as you're going through this, one number that came about, which was crazy. By the way, Spain is a true champion. And let me tell you why. They're the most boring team you can watch in the entire World Cup. I keep saying they're the Cavs, they're the San Antonio Spurs. They win, but they're boring. Boring to watch them play. Okay, France plays, exciting. Argentina plays, exciting. England played, exciting. By the way, the England-France game was sick. Like, that's the game you want to go to, see 6-4 goals. Mbappe scores the 2 goals. He becomes the all-time scorer in the history of World Cup. I think he's got 2 goals or 1 goal more than, if you want to pull up the leaders bulletin, all-time World Cup scores. So Mbappe is now first place ahead of Messi.
Yep.
And, you know, Ronaldo fans celebrating because Messi didn't end up winning the second World Cup. There's Mbappe. Even though Messi didn't really need it, everybody at this point knows Messi's the GOAT. So Mbappe has 22 goals. Messi's 21. And if you go lower, Ronaldo, Brazil, Portugal, 15. You know what's one of the stats that was going viral, which was kind of interesting to me? One of the stats that was going viral was the following. You know, Mbappe scored 10 goals in 1 World Cup. Messi scored 8 goals in 1 World Cup. Haaland, Bellingham, Dembele, how do you spell the other guy's name? Dembele, 7 goals in 1 World Cup. Harry Kane, 6 goals in 1 World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo, 11 goals in 6 World Cups.
Wow.
11 and 6. And by the way, do you know how bad I wanted him to go to the championship?
I know.
Because I wanted to see him against Messi and let the debates begin.
Yep.
That's what I wanted. I wanted to see that. We went to the game specifically for that reason. But you know what's the most important stat? And then I'll open it up for you guys to go through and give credit to Tom. Here's the most important stat out of all the things that we talked about. There's not a stat more important than this. So they did a number to show which of the two teams had more 6-touch passes. Okay, I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like, where I pass it to Tom passes it to Vinny, and those are 5 other teammates that we touch pass. 6. Sequence of 6 passes or more. Do you know how many Argentina had in the entire game against Spain? 1. Do you know how many times Spain did that against Argentina in the game? 32. Adam, we can hear you. 32. 32 times Spain did this. Let me say it again. Argentina passed to each other 6 times once without losing a ball. Spain did it 32 times. It just wasn't fair. We went to the bathroom after the first half, and I'm in the bathroom with Will Ferrell. All of a sudden, kids start screaming outside. I'm like, what's going on outside? Who's screaming? You and Dylan come inside. It's like, Spain just scored. I said, what? Spain just scored? Yeah, it's not going to penalties? No. We run outside. Will Ferrell's like, what are you talking about? Anyways, it was an intense game, and credit goes to, in all the people that made predictions. Tom wins the prediction markets. Messi didn't make the comeback. Spain was the most dominant team. They beat Mbappe's France. They beat Argentina's, Messi's Argentina, and they deserve to be champions, and credit goes to them. I applaud them for going through it. And look, whether you like it or not, 90% of the audience was Argentina, 10% was Spain. But the 10% of Spaniards that went there, yeah, that's the picture right there. Look at
Can you show that? Look at that.
Tom Cruise, Dylan, and Vinny.
He was so freaking awesome too. He
Yeah.
was so. By the way, he's not taller than me. I was forward in the photo, and he was wearing boots.
Hey, are you taller than him?
I'm taller than Tom. Yeah, I hugged him, and I like.
But he was just a chill guy talking to you.
Oh, he was. The way that I approached him and the way that I spoke to him, he went from smiling to listening. Because I told him, I go, listen, I know people want autographs. I go, I'm not going to want that. We're going to take a photo, but I go, thank you for all the entertainment. Like me and my family,
Yeah.
my dad was wild. We got to sit there as a family and watch him, and he was like, oh my God, thank you so much. He was sitting there talking. He didn't deny one photo with anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody got a
Gotta
photo.
love it. I love hearing a story. I mean, we just watched Cocktails, and we just watched A Few Good Men within a week apart,
Yeah.
right? And he's in both of them. But Tom, your assessment, your thoughts on watching the game. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the World Cup stuff. I want to move on, but your assessment on it.
When I watched Spain, remember Spain was the pre-tournament number 1. I watched the first knockout round every minute. I said, wow, I wonder who's really going to be up. And it was on July 2nd, and Austria, I remember it was 2 days before 4th of July. We're getting ready to travel to, Rhode Island. And here we are, Austria, 3-0. And that game could have been 13-0
Yeah.
against Austria. And I remember I came to Pat and I said, Pat, Spain is a machine. Because I was just so shocked, and I was seeing the passing and everything. And at that point, Unai Simon, they had the draw against Cape Verde, but he didn't allow any goals yet. And I said, no one has scored on Spain either. And this goal, Unai Simon, was amazing. And Unai Simon would finish with 7, we call it shutout in American speak. It's called a clean sheet in soccer speak. And so he finished with 7 clean sheets. The goalie that beats Unai Simon's record for this year's World Cup has to go the entire World Cup and never give up a goal. He gave up 1 to Belgium.
Yeah.
Then that to me was just so insane. And you talked about the passes. I got nothing more to say about
to
it.
be fair, Emi Martinez was a great goal. He was the MVP of the World Cup for Argentina.
Gosh.
Because they could have scored 5-6 goals.
Absolutely.
But go ahead, Tom. Finish your
No,
thought.
it's like, it was just amazing. Yeah, credit to the Argentina goalie for hanging in, and it wasn't 4-0. It was only 1-0. And I think we've seen something, and I'll let you comment on it. I think we've seen with Spain, with the combination of the academy, the national support, I think we're seeing the West Coast offense getting born under Bill Walsh or Tex Winter and Phil Jackson building the triangle. I think we're seeing that.
Though. The students beat the teacher. These are guys that admire and they love Messi. They were protective. The way they played against Messi was very respectful. But they beat the teacher, and the teacher's 39 years old. I hope he doesn't make a comeback. I hope he doesn't come back to 2030. A lot of people are saying he should come back. Ronaldo should come back. I think they should go. Thank you, Ronaldo. Thank you, Messi. I'll never forget, I went to the El Clasico in Madrid, and I watched them play. I think Messi had a hat trick at that game. I never forget, I went to a game, Espanyol against Argentina in 2008. Full-on fight broke out on the way out. People who were with me, you'll know what happened. There was fist fight, and I was involved. And it took us 3 hours to get back to the hotel. It was all over ESPN. It was the craziest thing ever that we had. These guys entertained the world, and we want to thank you. It was phenomenal. It was great, but I hope neither one of them comes back to the 2030 World Cup. Vinny.
Well, Pat, first of all, thank you for bringing me there. The experience was just it was unbelievable. The fans, the cheering, the game was, we had hopes. I wanted for, destiny, Messi winning, but you know, being the technical team that Spain was, you used the best word when it came to their defense: smothering. Guys, every time the ball, I didn't see one player tired, hands on their hips. They were sprinting on the ball every time. But Pat, my favorite part, I'm being dead serious about the whole World Cup. The MVP for me was Justin Bieber. Well, it was such a moment to be there to watch it, because every artist, Madonna, Shakira, they had, you know, dancers, explosions, graphics, fire, production, lip syncing. He walked out by himself with a guitar, his earpiece, and a mic, and sang a cappella while walking, playing the guitar. Pat, this is the biggest stage, and the song that he chose to pick to sing was Everything Hallelujah. It's about God, it's about gratitude, and recognizing God's blessings and being thankful for every day. It was so intentional, Pat, in a world where everybody's about me and me, look at me. He chose that moment, and when he was done, Pat, you remember, he walked by himself from that one entrance all the way to the other by himself, and I absolutely love the message and taking that stage to do that song. So he was my MVP.
I agree. And by the way, we just saw him. We just saw him 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
Yeah.
Security.
Yep.
Shout out to security. Great guy. Anyways, Adam, your thoughts. I know Israel is devastated that Argentina lost. What are your thoughts on this? We can't hear him. Now we can't hear anything you're saying.
Now we can't hear anything.
So there's zero audio this time around. Okay, we'll come back to you. Jake, you guys check out him. We'll come back to you. We can't hear anything you're saying. All that IQ, guys. All that IQ, all that genetics you guys got. Come on, all those resources, all those pagers, all of that stuff, and you can't get something to work over there. All right.
No. Do not give Adam a pager.
By the way, so J.D. Vance wasn't able to show up to the game because they just had a son. And congratulations to J.D. and Usha. I think they just had a son, Alec Neil Vance. If you guys can mute Adam, please, on the other side, Jake, thank you. And Marco Rubio was at the match. So was the president right there. We are excited to announce our baby boy, Alex Neil Vance, was born in the morning. Usha and the baby are happy, healthy, and our kids are overjoyed to meet their little brother. The incredible military doctors and staff members of Walter Reed Medical Center and the White House Medical Unit have been a blessing. We are deeply thankful for all they have done for our family, and that's that with them. So congratulations to the Vance family as they welcome a new boy. But there you have it. By the way, when the game starts, they show stats, and they said, here are the leaders of the World Cup. The top three defenders of the World Cup, 3-4-3, was all from Spain. And I said, it's over. They couldn't even get it on the other side, didn't score one goal. Again, respect to them. And Messi, we have the privilege of saying we witnessed the greatest soccer player of all time play during our era. If you had a chance to watch him, you know, you're part of the lucky few. We'll brag about him for many, many decades to come. All right, let me get to the next story. Next story I want to get into has to do with the Trump speech. Trump gives a speech on Thursday night. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, but he was given a speech and a few takeaways from the speech on what was discussed. Number one, U.S. elections. Trump said that the documents expose election systems to hacking, exploitation, and foreign interference, and accused officials of concealing these vulnerabilities from the public. Number two, Chinese exploitation of voter data claims. Trump alleged China acquired 220 million voter files and that intelligence officers suppressed evidence Beijing wanted to undermine his re-election. However, 2020 intelligence assessment. Okay, so China said we had nothing to do with it. That's what they came out and said, just so you know that. China called Trump's allegations completely fabricated, out of thin air, and urged Washington to stop its groundless smearing. Number three, voting machine and vote counting machines. Trump warned of a cyber threat aimed at the very heart of our democracy, citing intelligence about Venezuela allegedly attempting to manipulate its own elections. He suggested methods could threaten the U.S. When it comes down to elections. Then there's Michigan 2020 voter registration investigation. Trump accused former Justice Department officials of suppressing a Michigan investigation involving fraudulent voter registration applications and instructed FBI Director Kash Patel to pursue possible prosecutions. And last but not least, non-citizens on voter rolls. Trump cited the Department of Homeland Security report allegedly identifying approximately 278,000 registered non-citizens but not claimed they voted. A preliminary review indicated the figure may have included the deceased voters. So they're looking into that. Now, when that took place, CNN's Gary King, what's his name? John King, who is their Brett Baer, okay? Allegedly. Obviously, Brett Baer's in a league of his own, but he comes out and explains why they did not want to play the president's speech. Look at this. Watch this from the beginning, folks, and tell me what this reminds you of. Go ahead.
A quick reminder to our viewers, we'll be watching tonight's presidential address and listening to what the president says tonight. But we're not going to take it live, as we've been discussing. That's because this president, sadly, has a history of misleading, and in some cases,
Who are you
simply false
to make a
statements
decision
on
for
what we've been
77
talking
million
about tonight,
people?
election security and integrity. Also, the White House earlier today said he would be showing newly classified documents, so we want to make sure that we have time to review those documents, talk to experts about them, contextualize whatever
Can
he
you
says
imagine how
or
embarrassing
shows
this is? Can you
before
pause it right
airing
there?
But if there is
In other
CNN
words, CNN wants to say they know what's best for you. Who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? Remember in 2022, right before midterm elections, and Biden was giving a speech on September 1st? And what was that speech that was given? The Independent Hall speech, if you guys remember that. NBC, ABC, and CBS said they're not going to play it because they said it's what? It's promoting and it's a midterm speech that he's given. You know what CNN did? They played it. Why did you play it, CNN? Why did you play that speech? He was trying to win the midterms. So you don't remember what he did with the red background?
Yeah, it looked like
and how
Hitler.
scary of a
Yeah.
speech it was? So you didn't think that was okay for him to? So you trusted him? So this all tells you what's coming to 2028. It's coming back. Don't think for a moment the censorship stuff is gone. Don't think for a moment them calling YouTube or Facebook or all these guys and threatening them to say, hey, you better block Trump. You better block that. Don't think that's going away anytime soon. Don't think that for a second. They showed their hands again. Tom, I'll come to you. Actually, no, Vinny, I'll come to you here with the Trump speech Thursday night. Your thoughts on what he talked about?
That's all I've been thinking about, Pat. Even at the freaking game, I was thinking about this. And forget just for 1 second anything that he said about the speech. The fact that the biggest scandal is what you just said, that they're acting as gatekeepers of truth. They're deciding what we can hear and what we can't hear. And to me, that's revealing their hand. So if you watch the speech, if you actually listen to what the president said, Pat, China used CCP assets in the U.S. media and social media to incite. This is just one of the examples. The 2020 BLM riots. Okay, number one, they also paid U.S. journalists to write negative stories about the Trump administration. They collected millions of U.S. citizens' private data from TikTok, and I know Tom's going to have a take on that, to create fake IDs and driver's licenses for tens of thousands of fraudulent mail-in votes for Joe Biden in the 2020 election. And the investigative journalist Catherine Herridge, Pat, I think she was on News Nation. She reviews the documents released by the Trump administration. And she said also the CIA emails showed that they were working against Donald Trump to help China and the Democrats in the 2020 election. Take 1 second. Let that sink in. I know we're supposed to have trust in all of our institutions, the FBI and the CIA, actively working. And I know everybody says, well, you can't get rid of these institutions, Pat, but there's so many people inside. Like you have a company, Pat. You have Valuetainment. You don't know how certain people are inside the company that think a certain way and that would act in some way to sabotage. And that's what happens. And then think about this, guys. They worked and busted their butts for years with China. They colluded. Then they released a freaking COVID-19 came from their freaking country. And remember, anybody that tried to say Trump, China, they're like, what are you doing? That's racist. Nancy Pelosi was in freaking Chinatown going, no, come here. And now, Pat, I'm trying to connect all the dots. Then for 4 years, Trump's out. Biden's in. All right. They flew spy balloons. Biden administration, by the way, do you know Hunter Biden's relationship with China, Pat? He helped create BHR Partners. It's a private equity firm backed by Chinese state-owned entities after he traveled to China with his father 2013 while he was vice president. And remember in the emails, guys, he was referred to as the big guy. I need a cut for the big guy. And then Hunter Biden pursued business deals with the exec ties to CEFC, the Chinese energy. All of Hunter's emails, Pat, lab ties discussed the dealings with China. And then we try to, who was calling the shots? Remember what you said last week with all the pardons? Who was basically, what article did you read or what book have you read that you read to a chapter that said Hunter Biden was in charge of basically the pardons? I didn't hear Pat.
Regime Change by the 2 New York Times authors that just wrote the book, Regime Change.
So think about guys, this isn't like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. He's a freaking China hawk, Biden, working with his son, Pat. And then you have losers. Like this Chinese takeover, Pat, you're seeing it. They're communists. The Democratic Party is not the Democratic Party anymore. You have losers like Hassan Piker dressed up like Mao Zedong, giving speeches in front of colleges. And that's the new Democratic
Party. He
dressed as what? He was dressed, but Pat.
Do you have that?
When I say, and I don't like calling
that? Hassan Piker
dressed as Mao. Go to X. He went in front of the.
He's wearing the Nehru jacket.
Yeah, College like Democrats of America convention. Like what a freaking loser! Like he's dressed up like he's at a communist expo. like dressing up. Like look at
There he
at
is
that.
at the podium
What
and everything.
and I hope he hears this. What a complete loser you are, dressing up like another man, like it's a cosplay to talk about communism in this country, bro. Get the hell out of my face. So, Pat, and I think it was Adam who mentioned this a long time ago. China is the enemy. Out of everybody that we're fighting, it's them. And they're not using guns, Pat. They use TikToks. They use these influencers. They use these freaking politicians. And what type of leader do you know comes to San Francisco and they kick the homeless out to make it look good for that guy? They're all in cahoots with that guy, Pat. And I think they're the number one enemy.
Adam, let's see how you sound. Go for it if you have any thoughts on this.
How we doing out there,
Much
PBD?
better.
My
Go
best-
for it. Much better. There you go.
Okay, great. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get to see the speech because I was too busy flying to Jerusalem. It's okay here right now. But get ready for more of these fun and games. We saw this in 2020. We saw it in 2024. We know that there's some nefarious actors out there that want to poison the wells, so to speak, of American democracy. And they can do it. China being at the top of the list, Russia playing games, North Korea, Iran. They all want to basically take down Trump. It's the left and the autocratic right that are teaming together to...
Adam, we're losing you. Tom, go for it.
So, Vinny, boy, I hope we clip what you just said because you are right from A to Z. But I want to look at two things. First, let's go to CNN and the how dare you. How dare you speak for the amount of people out there? But thank God nobody's watching CNN. 600,000, maybe 700,000 in viewers. Fox gets 5x, 3.4 million. Little old Newsmax is almost at 300,000. So thank goodness nobody's watching CNN not cover it. But as
What was the number for CNN?
CNN was between 680 and 700,000.
That's how low they are today?
Yeah, that's right. I just looked it up.
That is CNN.
Fox is 5x, 3.4 million when you get the total viewership. And Little Newsmax is, a smaller channel with a
300,000,
smaller
half of-
budget, closing in on half of CNN. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, but the point is, how dare you do that? But I'll tell you, in 2022, when he did where was it, in Philadelphia or wherever it was, he did in the backdrop.
The black and red look like freaking
exactly.
Hitler.
This was Biden in 22. The networks knew Biden was a little off rails, and they knew it was going to be bad. The reason they didn't cover it is they didn't want equal time. They would have had to give equal time. They had a premonition of the debate in the summer of 24, and how did that go between Biden and Trump? It didn't. It was terrible. They knew that was going to happen. So that's why they weren't airing it. They're scared to death of having to air the other side and have it sound sensible and be something that the American people might be thinking about, might be processing. Even though they're upset about affordability and about the war, is all have the American people go, wow, that sounds more reasonable over here. Now, TikTok. Interesting. Remember, we were willing to cut off our left arm to keep TikTok from getting our kids' data. And if your kids were tied to a parent account on the phone, TikTok could be invading the phone and pulling your data over there and taking your data to China. Well, guess what? And now we're protesting the data centers. And if we don't build them here, the data will be in China. People say that's always your thing. You're always saying that. You're just BizDoc. I get these things on X all the time, Pat. Oh, BizDoc, you're just saying that because you're in favor of the technology. No, I'm saying is we have to figure out how to make data centers not cost people money, have alternative methods of cooling, and not be noisy. We have to put pressure on the people building data centers to do that. But if we don't put the data over here, it goes to China. And what Vinny just outlined, China is waiting. China is not a friend. This is what's going on here. That's what I feel about that part of the speech. I think it was a wake-up call that people needed to hear.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's all just showing you what's about to happen in 2028. The gamesmanship is back. They're going to use the same exact cards that you thought they weren't going to use. They're using it. They're going back to the same exact play. Out of their playbook, page out of the playbook.
And I agree 100%. Pat, if you think about it, everything that he said about China, if it's true, you're seeing it play out. Who's leading the Democratic Party? I got goosebumps. It's the freaking communists. So it worked. And then, Pat, I was always questioning, what president would let China buy land next to our military bases? How many spies, Pat, the Fang, the Eric Swalwell? But I want to ask you a question.
Or farms.
Pat. Or the farms, or the agriculture terrorists that we keep catching from China. So, Pat, here's my question.
Who snuck into Minnesota?
Exactly that.
Open door.
How do we deal, Pat? Because we always want to talk about solutions. How do you deal with the FBI and the CIA and people in Congress? We have rogue actors that are working. This is the deep state. Everybody tries to act like we're all delusional or we're all conspiracy theorists. The deep state, Pat, how do you deal with a company like the CIA, these organizations that have people inside? Because one of them that Catherine mentioned, Pat, she said in an FBI quote, she goes,
Can you pull up one of the tweets?
Yeah,
Like you want to pull up one of the documents?
Yeah, one of the documents, Humbert, I sent you a couple. In one of them, and Pat, I'll find it as well after I say this because I want to ask you, I want to see if you can answer this question. She said something like, she feels like this FBI agent is running a rogue She said something like she was running a rogue government against our government. That's what she felt like. I'm going to find it for sure. But this right here is them collecting.
Speaking for herself.
Speaking for herself, she goes, I feel like I'm running like a shadow government for against the president. God bless you. It's not like it's a joke. It's not like it's hiding it. So, and I'll find it. I'll send it to him. How do we stop those? What parameters, what guardrails you have to put in to let people like, the James Comey or the Christopher Wray's or the General Milley? You guys remember what General Milley said about China, how much in this pocket of China he was? He said, if Donald Trump gave us an order to nuke or bomb China, I would call China and give them a heads up. If that's not treasonous talk, then what is? Tom.
You're right, and I just went 12 seconds. Can you go back to that where you just had that long one that you had on Twitter that talked about where did they get the data for the driver's licenses? Right there. CCP collected millions of U.S. citizen private data from TikTok accounts to create fake IDs for tens of thousands of fraudulent mail-in votes. Thank you.
Yeah, and by the way, if you go to the group text, I'll put a thumbs up if you want to go to it. In regard to BLM, if you go to the tweet, you just saw me thumbs up. You see it or no? I just literally thumbs upped it. Yeah, I'll do a love on it to make it easier for you.
Love it.
Do you see it? Okay, then if that's not working, I'm just going to text it to you separately. This has to do about Chinese involvement with BLM. Okay, if you go to your text, you'll see it right there. There you
Unbelievable.
have it, okay, at the top. There you go. Watch, make this bigger. And Vinny, if you want to read this to them.
Okay, so China planned to incite racial unrest and blame white people hating black people to sabotage Trump. They had extensive plans, China, to influence and cyber operations to turn public opinion against the Trump administration. They specifically targeted racial tensions, planning to allege that white people hate black people, incite demonstrations and marches to highlight racial divides, increase conflict between police and anti-racism activists, and create an impression that the U.S. law enforcement resents the government and people of color. Other themes included political party fights, Congress versus Trump conflicts, women's rights, and alleged U.S. war plans. China had the ability to spread these messages across social media, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and mainstream media using influencers. One option included gathering dirt on senior U.S. officials. This document shows that China was actively planning to weaponize racial division to damage Donald Trump ahead of the 2020 election. Another act of war. And Pat, think about all the stuff that now that we're finding out, besides COVID, China, racial divide in the United States, China, all these freaking people tied to
work.
It worked.
Of course it worked.
Of course it worked.
NBA, the year that LeBron won the Mickey Mouse championship.
Yeah.
What did it say? The BLM was everywhere. Black Lives Matter everywhere. They use this to divide America and win elections.
And let me ask you a question. Tom, be honest. Can a president ever survive racial riots, billions of dollars of damage in the United States, number one, and number two, a pandemic? Can anybody survive? If Jesus Christ was the president, would Americans vote for him if he lived through that?